What does it takes more
Hey,
me to me?
college life can get really expensive, right? Between rides to class and late night day cravings, here's how I stay focused while also treating myself. For just $4.99 a month,
Hi. Yeah, I'm doing well, thank you. It's right here. I'm ready to tell the truth. Okay, sorry for the dramatic intro, I just had to, but welcome to my very first sit down. I have been wanting to do one of these videos for a while, and today we're going to be talking about the very coveted, very controversial NIL from someone who is not a football player or basketball athlete. So yeah, I run track at UCLA, an Olympic sport still, but definitely doesn't receive the same recognition and money, I'd say, that goes into those two sports. So we're just gonna be getting down and dirty into it. I'm gonna be sharing some secrets, some tips, and I might even tell you guys how much I make or how much I charge. I don't know yet. Still deciding if I want to reveal that secret, but yeah, welcome to another video. Like I said before, my name is Allie. I run track at UCLA, and this is my senior season. First things first, what is NIL? NIL is name, image, and likeness, and it basically covers every aspect of student athletes finally being paid. So NIL can be through forms of, sponsorships from donors, or it can be sponsorships with your favorite brand or your favorite soda and things like that. So there are a lot of different categories that fall within just the words NIL. Okay, so for me specifically, NIL deals look a lot different than they do, I'd say, for basketball and football players. I consider those to be the revenue generating sports. At UCLA, gymnastics would also fall into that category, but I'm gonna leave them out of this conversation just for a second because I know most schools don't really operate that. Our gymnasts are just goddess. But for me personally, I have built a following on TikTok and Instagram, and that will be the main source of how I receive NIL deals. A lot of times for athletes, it's just, based on performance. I'd say for football, if you have a really, really good football player, regardless of how many Instagram followers he has, he's gonna get some type of NIL deal, whereas it doesn't really work like that for track and for other smaller Olympic sports. So me having a following, and especially being in Los Angeles, going to UCLA, has definitely given me a way, I'd say, wider varieties of the type of NIL deals I can get. But regardless, for track and field at UCLA, or I'd say most schools for that, NIL deals right now are 100% from outside sources. So this wouldn't be like an NIL collective. I know, for example, a lot of football teams have things called NIL collectives where you basically get paid a salary from different sponsorships and different brands that strictly focus on that sport or that kind of group, whether it be the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, whatever. I don't know, I'm not a football girly, but yeah, we track and field don't have that yet, and that's okay because the sport is growing. But I have put a lot of work into getting my NIL deals that I feel like sometimes a lot of sports don't have to do that extra stuff. Before you guys get your panties in a twat, I just mean that by saying football players don't have to go to the lengths that they have to in order to secure NIL deals. Like, I built a following based on, spend a day with me as a UCLA athlete. This is what I eat in a day as a UCLA athlete. Like, it takes work, it takes time, it takes dedication to do the videos like that and to continuously post and to gain a following and respect from, I say younger athletes who want to see what it's like, or even just people who are curious and what it's like to be a D1 athlete. Okay, now let's get into some expectations versus the realities of what NIL really is. So, I know a lot of people think that NIL is just every athlete is making bank. Absolutely not true. Absolutely not true. I'd say that the majority of NIL deals that a lot of the smaller Olympic sports get is just, hey, here's a free t-shirt, here's some mystery gummies, go make a post about that. And these type of deals not only flood your feed, but they're not worth the visibility and the reach that they usually get. So I feel like a lot of times companies and all of these like little apps and agencies will take advantage of athletes and their vulnerability and their desire to make some money, because now that we have this opportunity, a lot of people are going after it, but they don't really have the education and the knowledge to be able to decipher which deals are worth it versus which deals just want an athlete face on it. And a lot of the reality is that these brands don't really know yet how to partner with athletes, how to have their brand or their product integrated into an athlete's lifestyle and have that showcased in a really real way. So that's why you see a lot of these really lackluster, you know, kind of just thrown out there ads. You know, I'd see like, I don't want to say anything, any like brand or like campaign specifically, but it's definitely still a learning curve for both us athletes and definitely for the brand side. I think that the same way that Instagram and influencers blew up in their creative space and their creative niches, this is a whole new niche that has been unlocked, college athletes, and there's so much that's deep in their story and that's a part of them that can be showcased through these brands. I think we both just need to find a way to express that creatively, but also cohesive, so that it doesn't just look like a cut and paste from every athlete trying to sell you some mystery energy gummies. So, my personal experience with NIL has been extremely great. Freshman year, I decided to kind of focus strictly on track and not really get into any deals, just kind of build my following, see what that was like, and I did. So freshman year, I went from like having maybe 4,000 followers to having like 20K or something like that. And so I had a photo that went semi-viral, and I won't say viral, but it definitely got a lot of likes and impressions. And that was a good thing and also kind of a curse. Yes, it's what gave me, you know, my first 10K or my first followers, but it also introduced me and my image to a lot of things that I didn't want to be associated with. One thing that you have to realize with, I'd say, a sport like track, maybe even a sport like swimming and gymnastics, is our uniforms are extremely revealing, and beach volleyball, actually all women's sports, what am I saying? Our uniforms are very revealing, and when it comes to track and field, a lot of times sex sells. And so the photo that went viral, booty was looking bootylicious, but it's not, I didn't receive the type of followers that I wanted to receive. It got to the point where my following was majority men, and not saying anything is wrong with that, because, you know, men can also want to learn about college athletics, but these weren't that type of men. And so I had to work to kind of transition my following from that, and it took a while, because once I stopped posting, you know, the type of content that they wanted to see, I saw a big drop, and then slowly began to climb again as I'm, you know, reaching broader audiences and more people that care about truly Allie and what she has to say and what she's doing in her life versus what I'm wearing at a track meet. So that was freshman year, but sophomore year, I decided to really get serious with my content and flipping my following, truly. So I focused on, you know, what I eat in a day. Here's a day in the life of a UCLA student athlete, get ready with me's, things like that, to grow, you know, the type of follower that I wanted to have, which is me. You know, I am my ideal follower, and I try to cater to what I would like to see and what I would like to learn about, you know, a student athlete back when I was in high school. So yeah, junior and sophomore year, really just focusing in on that content, producing stuff like, I'd say like every 2 weeks. I know that like doesn't sound like a lot for an athlete. That is like back-breaking work. So let's get into the deals that I have actually done. So one of the first deals that I'd say that what I did that was like memorable was probably Twitter. I did a cute little video for their like swipe concert challenge that they were having with a couple other schools. I did that, and that was the first time I made like enough money where I was like, hey, hold up now. And so after that, young girl just started working. I did JBL headphones, and that was amazing. That was like a 5 or 6 month long thing where I also got to gift my team stuff. And I did Maybelline Cosmetics right after that. Powerade for a campaign right before the Olympics. That was really, really cool as well. And also some of the things that you don't see every day, but that still kind of controls your everyday, like my hair company, Cruise Textures, Raw Indian Bundles. But I have created, you know, more than just an NIL deal with them, and you know, it's like a true relationship. Okay, now agent or no agent, which is better? I do not have an agent. I haven't had an agent all 4 years. I have had a few interviews with a couple different agencies, ultimately deciding to kind of go my own way, navigating this. one thing that a lot of people don't talk about is when you don't have an agent, sometimes you don't know how much other people are getting paid. One time I have a teammate of mine who was doing the same exact deal as I was doing. He was like, "Allie, how much are you getting paid?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm getting paid $500. How much are you getting paid?" Which I do not charge $500 anymore. This was young, naive Allie in my first like couple videos. Charge a lot more than that now. But he told me that he was getting paid $1,500. I was like, it literally felt like a punch in my stomach. It was like $1,500. But they asked me what my rate was. They asked me, and I told them I'm only worth $500. So it definitely takes a lot of learning if you don't have an agent. But ultimately, I like to see what deals come to my email. I have a little Gmail at allieconyers.com. So I try to be professional without having an agent. And I think that it's worked well for me, especially, not being a basketball or football superstar. So it's worked successfully for me, and I've gotten to go on a lot of different things. I think that one thing that's really hard when you don't have an agent is brand trips. And so I have done 2 like brand trips. I don't know if they're considered brand trips, but like I went to the desert with Nike. It was like a 24-hour, it was like a day thing. And then I also did like a boat cruise with Selfie Leslie, which is a dress brand. I only consider it a brand trip because I got on a bus to go there. And so I think that when I'm done with athletics, I might try to get someone to help facilitate these deals because it won't be coming in as fast, I believe, without having, UCLA. So that might be a goal that I look for in the future. But right now, I don't see having an agent as something that's super, super necessary for just the average student athlete. Now let's talk about some pros and cons of NIL deals. One of the biggest pros is building kind of like your financial literacy. I have been able to, get a credit card, get a better credit card, start a savings, a Roth IRA, all of these things my apartment actually, I was able to get my apartment without my parents' signature for the very first time. But there has been so much that I learned about controlling your money, not going out and spending, saving, negotiating, and W-2s, W-9s, things like that I did not understand before, but you kind of have to and you force yourself to. Another pro would also be understanding the languages of contracts and things like that. Contracts can get really iffy if you don't read all the way through. You don't want to do a deal with someone. You look in the exclusivity and it's like, you actually can't do a deal with Amazon, YouTube, Walmart, like 20,000 brands for the next 6 years if you sign this. And it's like, what? Why would I sign away all of these brands for a small amount when, these brands could come up? And you have to gain real life experiences that you probably wouldn't have if you were just doing track and going home. And also, you build a platform. You reach larger audiences, and you inspire more. Some of the cons would be, I'd say, pressure to perform on the track and off the track. When I say track, I just mean like all sports. If you do a sport, if you don't do a sport. But just constantly trying to perform. I know that feeling when you're not really doing well on the track, but you still gotta come home and make this content. And sometimes you feel a little bit of imposter syndrome, like, who am I to give advice when I'm not even doing well or I'm not even happy with where I am? Camera died, but I'm not done yet. Yeah, just taking care of your mental health is definitely the most important thing when it comes to creating content and finding that balance, because you will compare yourself to the happy-go-lucky things that you post online and that you swear your life is, even though it's not really going that way, which I am a victim of doing that. Okay, lastly, just some general advice. Number 1, not all money is good money. Not all deals are worth doing, no matter how much they want to pay you. If it doesn't go with who you are, what your brand is, and what you value, don't do the deal. Better ones will come. This is not the end all be all. Believe that you are able to receive more than just what's thrown at you. Number 2, build your personal brand authentically. Again, you don't have to pretend that everything is perfect and life is going great, and I had to learn this, but people like to see the struggles and the grit and the reality of what it is to be a college athlete or anything that you want to create content on in your life. And lastly, this is specifically for athletes, do not lose focus on the true goals of your sport. Don't just be focused on NIL, getting money, get into that bag. No, there's still a bag that needs to be got on the track, in your sport, whatever that is. That is always priority. And so you'll see when I'm at these big meets, I do not be vlogging, I do not be posting selfies until after I run, because your girl gotta lock in. The secret that I was gonna tell you guys, I won't say how much in total I have made, but I will I? Do you guys want to know? Oh my god, stop. So yeah, okay, fine. In total, I have made